in the context, especially in the context of disruptive innovation. So, first of all, if you can see my screen, you can see that design thinking is quite an elaborate and quite a wide concept. For example, it includes so many different things, but I would like you to pay attention to some key elements. These four key elements. One is empathy through research. I hope everyone understands the meaning of empathy. Empathy is understanding the other person very deeply. Okay. Then framing the problem that you want to solve, generate a lot of ideas, and prototype and validate the prototype. There is a very close relationship between design thinking and what is popularly known as the lean startup methodology, and both together combine to form a powerful combination to aid in innovation. And no innovation can happen unless a person is willing to try and is not afraid to fail, but continuously keeps trying until he succeeds. So, this is also another very important concept. But failure should not be very costly, and that's one of the important aspects of design thinking. Uh, Failure should actually add to my knowledge. So every failure, in fact, adds value rather than being a cost. Okay. So these are some of the important concepts that we will be discussing. I hope everyone has heard me clearly and can see the screen properly. Uh, can you please raise your hands, guys, if everything is okay so far? Raise your hands if everything is okay. Great, good. Only the boys are raising their hands. The girls, please, can you hear me? Yeah, great, good. Okay, that's nice. Let's go. So, one very important question. Why disruptive innovation? Disruptive मतलब, दुनिया को हिला के रखने वाला type of innovation. The reason is there is disruption everywhere. In fact, all the problems that we are required to solve today are extremely difficult problems, and they cannot be solved without disruptive innovation. Like these problems of, green energy and transportation. Abhi hydrogen as a substitute for fossil fuel, I mean, किसने देखा है? पर we need some solution. Pollution is another big problem for which we don't have yet any, visible solution. The way AI is changing our world and we don't know कि अब दुनिया कहाँ तक जाने वाली है and how much AI will disrupt our world. मतलब हमको कितना हिला के रखने वाला है, we don't know. And in the education sector, people are now talking of NEP 2020, and ये NEP को कैसे implement करना is another big issue. And I will be talking slightly more in detail about especially this topic because we are you are educationists and students right now in the education sector. Okay. But despite all these, massive problems, we still have a golden opportunity, and we should seize this opportunity because it is India's tech aid or technology decade. And this is especially a good time in India for starting up and starting your own enterprise. And one very good reason is because of people like you who are very young, who are doing a great education, especially engineering education. In fact, India's demography is very rich because of its youth and also because it's highly educated. In fact, we have the largest number of engineering students in the world. But our education sector needs to step up and provide 21st century skills. And what are these skills? One is lifelong learning. मतलब ये इंजीनियरिंग डिग्री के बाद सीखना चालू रहना चाहिए लाइफ लॉन्ग. सेकंड, क्रिएटिविटी. थर्ड, critical thinking. Fourth, adaptability. Adaptability, especially because there's so much change happening, हमको एडजस्ट करते रहना पड़ता है. I mean, we can't stay like we are and be rigid in our thinking. And finally, entrepreneurship. And the reason for entrepreneurship is we don't even know what the jobs in the future are going to be. And in this kind of a situation, we should create the jobs of the future. And that's the kind of leadership that we want. Okay. So these are the things that our educationists have to bring to the students. I want to now differentiate between, just give me 1 minute. There is a bit of a, okay. Why? Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, raise your hands. Whenever I say, can you hear me? Raise your hands. If you, great, good. All right, that's good. Yeah. Because this is one of the problems of this online thing. मतलब I don't know when the connection is gone, so we'll continuously have to get feedback. And that's one of the aspects of design thinking, by the way. Getting continuous feedback is also one very important aspect of design thinking. Okay. So, disruptive innovation can be very challenging. Whenever we think of innovation, we normally think of sustaining innovation. Sustaining means, improving slightly, improving, as they call it, continuously improving. Okay. In this kind of a situation, the problem that we are trying to solve is well understood. The market is also an existing market. I mean, it's already an existing market. Innovation improves performance, certainly, lowers the cost, and the changes are incremental. Little bit, improving, 5% improvement in cost, 10%, etc., etc. Thoda. Okay. The customer is believable because he knows what the problem is and he knows what problem has to be solved. The market is predictable and traditional business methods जो आप MBA में वगैरह सिखाते हैं, okay, they are sufficient. But the problems that we now need to solve are much bigger than that. And that is where we need disruptive innovation, because the problem is not well understood. The market is new. In fact, most of the time people are discussing, Arey boss, 5 years from now, what is going to happen? Nobody can tell. Okay. And hence, innovation needs to be dramatic. मतलब ये 10% वगैरह वगैरह नहीं चलेगा. 10 times, 100 times, ये times वाली बात, exponential. Okay. And it must be game changing. मतलब it changes the rules of the game. The customer doesn't know and nobody knows कि क्या होने वाला है. But we have to be adaptable. The market is unpredictable and traditional business methods are expected to fail. They will not work. And that's where you need design thinking. Okay? So now, what is design thinking? Design thinking is a human centric approach to problem solving and solution finding. Human centric, लाल में लिखा है. मतलब the center of everything is the human whose need you've identified and whose problems you're trying to solve. By focusing on the human, such as users of a product, customers, stakeholders, मतलब जो पैसा डालते हैं, first we seek to understand people's needs and come up with effective solutions to meet those unmet needs. मतलब अभी तक not yet satisfied. It is what we call solution based approach to problem solving. So, in short, design thinking is equal to human centered innovation. Okay? All clear? Raise your hand. Great. This time the boys are not raising their hand. Great. Acha, so let me, ask a question at this point. Okay. I will go through my presentation completely because in 1 hour I expect to cover quite a lot of ground. Something that you don't understand or whatever, make notes, and hopefully we'll be able to, have 5-10 minutes at the end where we can address those questions. Okay? Okay. So, when we are going into design thinking, what should be our mindset? मतलब हम, how should we prepare ourselves mentally? Okay. First is we should have empathy. And as I told you, empathy is when you try to understand the other human being, the other person, or whose problem you are trying to solve. Okay. You should be optimistic. मतलब हो जाएगा यार. ओके. चैलेंजिंग है पर हो जाएगा. एम्ब्रेस एम्बिग्विटी. मतलब अभी तक क्लियर नहीं है कि एक्चुअली क्या है. हाउ इट इज. एम्बिगुअस है बट चलता है. मतलब चलेगा यार बॉस, अपन रेडी है टू टेक अप द चैलेंज. वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट इज मेक इट. सी, Real innovators are one who are constantly trying to build something. For example, a child like my grandson is all the while playing with Lego, trying to build something, watches Minecraft because वहां पे मतलब Minecraft में कुछ न कुछ तो बनाते रहते हैं. Okay. Whereas, many of us elders, we sketch karo. Okay. So that's a very important aspect. Make it. Learn from failure. Make it and show it to whoever you want to, solve the problem for. And let him tell you कि यार ये बॉस बकवास है यार. और ये क्यों बकवास है? Why is it? Okay, that is a failure. Don't be dissuaded. Add to your strength. Make it increase your knowledge. And this whole cycle should be continuously. I mean, ask for feedback, learn from it, make another one, and keep iterating, again and again. Okay. So, and finally, have what is known as creative confidence. This is have confidence and keep creating. Okay. One good example of design thinking is the Arvind Eye Care empathy that led to the inspiration. Arvind Eye Care was set up to address blindness among poor people in remote rural India. And they organized eye camps and vision centers for preventive care and diagnostics for poor people in India. Ideation. Now, here is what we mean by creative confidence. Nothing was impossible for Dr. Venkat Swamy, the founder of Arvind Eye Care. And because he believed, he developed new options and reduced the cost of intraocular lenses from $70 to $2. Matlab, this is disruptive. It's not, reduce the price by 5%, 10%, but 35 times, So this is the kind of innovation we call disruptive innovation. They set up telemedicine enabled centers for the very first time. In fact, Abhi telemedicine is now becoming a big thing, but Arvind Eye Care was one of the first to set up telemedicine centers. And their implementation, and this is also another thing about design thinking. Learn from, this is called cross pollination. Learn from something else outside your industry. Okay, so Arvind Eye Care learned from McDonald's operational model, and they optimize the processes to perform high quality cataract surgeries at low cost. And surgeons could now perform 2,000 surgeries annually compared to 300 surgeries elsewhere in India. Big jump. Okay. So all these kind of jumps, when they're added, can lead to 1,000 times improvement in an existing, process. So the design thinking solution inspired the plight of sightless poor in remote and difficult to access Bharat, a shining example for thinking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is something all of us should now really embark onto and apply design thinking process to any problem that we are trying to solve, including in your student projects. Okay. All clear so far? Hands up. Great. Boys, सो गए लगता है. Okay. Human centered design thinking helps in innovation because they resonate deeply with users' real need. See, one of the biggest problems of starting up is you come up with a technical idea and you keep working on it, but you don't know if that idea will ever be bought by anybody. So the first thing you have to do is check out whether there exists a customer for your idea. Okay, that's the most important thing even before you start building anything. Innovation that fosters non-obvious solutions. मतलब हाँ, surprising. I mean, this is good. I never thought of this. Efficiency and scalability across the organization. See, sometimes individuals can be creative, but to do real work, you need a whole team. The whole organization has to be aligned to, wanting to do that. नहीं तो मतलब you have a great idea and others think यार क्या यार पागल है, अपने आप करते रहता है, कुछ तो करते रहता है. इससे कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. The whole organization has to work towards that idea and that product and etc. Right? So you need a process, an organization-wide process, and that's what design thinking offers. Adaptability and in rapid change. Now, one of the things I must and I would like to emphasize is that especially with AI and generative AI, the kind of change and rapid prototyping that you can do is simply amazing. And at the end, I have some examples for it. Okay. And the final thing is because the problems are wicked problems are boss, ये तो मतलब पता नहीं कहाँ से शुरू करें. तो शुरू करना है तो यू हैव टू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल, मतलब सबसे बेसिक्स से चालू करते हैं एंड देन लेट्स ट्राई एंड सॉल्व दिस प्रॉब्लम. ओके, एंड डिजाइन थिंकिंग हेल्प्स अस डू दैट. So there are 5 steps to design thinking. Okay, the first step, now we are starting from first principles. Okay, is to empathize and study the audience whose problem we are trying to solve, and identify opportunities to implement relevant design solutions. Okay, and identify many opportunities by observing the audience. Second, define. Now, here you define the problem from the point of view of the user, not what you think, but what the user thinks. So, from the user's point of view, you define the problem, not what you think is the problem. Third is ideate. Here you generate lots of ideas, lots. And here again, especially at this stage, I can tell you that using Chat GPT and these AI models can be super useful. And I would recommend that whenever you do student projects, you apply design thinking, go through all these processes, okay, and use generative AI as a major thought partner, as a major partner in your project. Okay, you will be amazed at how fantastic your products can come out to be. Okay, so I would emphasize this. And you can use them even to prototype. As we said, सिर्फ दिमाग में आइडिया रख के फायदा नहीं है. You have to bring it out on paper and show it to others and ask them what they think about it, right? So for that, you have to build prototypes so that you can communicate your idea to others. And finally, test. What does the customer think about your problem? And use that feedback to improvise, to improve, come out with a new prototype, and so on. So this is continuous iteration that design thinking is all about. So the first step, we'll run through this quickly, is empathize. Empathy is the foundation, and you use the beginner's mindset to start from first principles and immerse yourself in the user experience to uncover users deep. So you discuss what the customer said, what is he doing, what is a housewife for whom you're trying to do, how do they feel, and what do they think? Okay. So you use an empathy map to understand what the customer sees, hears, feels, does, and what are the pains and gains of that customer. Okay. And the empathy map typically looks like this. This is an example. And this is the example of an empathy map for a perfume product. Okay, ladies, दिखता है आपको ये? हाथ ऊपर करिए लेडीज. Girls, is it clear? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, another important aspect of design thinking is persona development. Persona, see, anytime, and this is another problem I want, all students, whenever they're coming out with a project, okay, they are solving the project, not, say, for example, for farmers are having this problem and hence I'm coming out with. Farmers is not, doesn't give you a picture of exactly the kind of person whose problem you're trying to solve. So you should develop a persona whose problem you're trying to solve. And the persona is something where you humanize the target user and exhibit. So you give a name to that person. Okay. An example of a persona is this Amul girl. See, this is your target audience for Amul butter, for example. Okay. Mostly addressing to say 6 to 8 year, and this is the girl. Okay. When you give a persona to this problem, you start thinking about, acha yaar, what does this person need? How does he think? She think? How does she feel? Okay. So it's much clearer. You can do it in pictures. Another important tool is what is known as the journey map. Okay. And especially in online business, say for example, Geo. Okay. I mean, Geo customers, when they launch a new plan, okay, they want to know how customers' journey happens when a new plan is launched. Okay. So here is this customer wants to switch a current mobile plan. So what are the steps that that person goes through? Okay. And the customer first defines, okay, I wonder if I can get a plan which cost me less. Okay. Okay. Then I compare. अच्छा ये plan 990 rupees per month for 1 GB data, etc., etc. Then I negotiate, and finally I select. So this is a typical customer journey in an e-commerce setup, and all of you must know that now most of business is done on e-commerce, right? So when you get into industry, you'll have to be able to understand what customer journey maps are, and what are the opportunities, and how to address the customers. Okay. So this is, and storytelling. This is another example of, how when a customer buys a problem, whether the need is satisfied or not has to be tracked using stories. Okay. Anyway, so let us continue. Next, we define the problem, and we use a standard format to define an actionable problem statement. Actionable, used to summarize who a particular user is, what the user's need is, and why the need is important to the customer. Okay, and we use typically this format. Okay, so and so. Now remember, we have done a persona. Okay, persona is, let's say, Amul girl needs a way to have a nourishing and tasty breakfast, because in the morning she feels extremely hungry and needs something that is substantial. Okay, तो ऐसा एक statement बनाएगा, then okay, now since we are at it, okay, and we are in an online world, these are some of the problem statements of an online business. Okay, the first problem is new customers need an easier way to complete the sign up process because they are frustrated in getting the account set up, right? I mean, if you notice, whenever you want to use chat gpt for the first time, okay, you have a sign up, this thing. Notice how easy the sign ups these days are. मतलब 2 क्लिक में वो साइन अप हो जाता है, 3 क्लिक मैक्सिमम. ओके. And all these companies have used design thinking principles to manage that in 3 clicks. Okay. Similarly, potential customers need a clearer understanding of the next step. Let's say there's a e-commerce company and you are recommending, you buy a product, but then while using Google Analytics, you notice that there's a very high bounce rate. This is how analytics is done nowadays, right? कि पब्लिक वहां पेज पे आता है और देन दे डिसबैंड. अरे यार ये तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, छोड़ दे. आई मीन, आई थिंक आई विल गो टू फ्लिपकार्ट, वो इजियर है. ओके. सो दिस इज अनदर प्रॉब्लम. Another problem is, Razorpay found that customers on the rating has rated them generally on average which is 6.2 out of 10, which is pretty lousy. Okay. So the problem is users on the new dashboard that we've created are unhappy with the current version. Okay. So it's very important to structure a problem statement exactly in this way. And why I say this is, when it is structured in this way, you can then come out with the ideation, I mean, a support for ideation, which is how might we solve those problems that the customer or that we've just discovered. Okay. And these how might we statements are how might we provide the intended experience. Intended means the customer wants a sign up in 3 clicks. Okay. So how might we provide sign up in 3 clicks for this first time user who's come to our site for the first time, so that he becomes a regular sign up and stays with us for a long time. So here are some examples. And let me tell you, please read these examples. It's very interesting. If you can put this problem examples in this way and you give this as a prompt to a Gen AI, okay, you will have 20 different top class solutions. And I have done this myself for each of these problems. And I don't think we have the time, but I would sincerely request you to, if you can give a chat GPT or any AI model a prompt which says, how might we make an account sign up process for the user so that he can complete the process in 3 clicks. Chat GPT will give you a whole range of solutions, okay, which you can actually implement. And many of these models will also give you maybe the React code if you ask for it, and might even be able to. And I have done it myself. And if we have the time, I can show you, but I don't know. It will give you the React code, it will give you everything, and it will give you a prototype website. So it can build the prototype for you. And remember, you can take it to the customer and say, boss, ये ऐसा sign up रहेगा तो what do you think? And the customer will say, yeah, this looks good. So this whole design thinking process can be accelerated using Gen AI models. Okay. So remember this. This is a very important point I want to make. And take a look at this. How might we? You can simply put this into a chat GPT and you'll get fantastic solutions. I've done it myself. Okay. So then you can generate lots of ideas, and you should generate as many ideas as possible. And while doing idea generation, use sketches, do proper brainstorming and prototyping. Okay. But not all ideas can be taken up. So you have to have a very scientific way of saying which idea should we start working on first. Okay. So you should typically start working with ideas that have high impact. Okay. They add value, are very original, they save a lot of money, and require the least amount of effect. So these are the wow ideas we should take up first. Then now ideas. And these ideas you should put up for research. How can we make it easier? Etc. And again, you can use Chat GPT to help you. Okay. So brainstorming. And this is the best route according to me. Okay. So this is, again, and prototyping, very important. A picture says 1,000 words. So when you can define, yeah, this is a prototype, this is not a real thing, but this tells you how your, product is going to be. This is a do it, your task manager, so to say. Okay. And all of you are, I think maybe should be familiar with these terms, wireframe of the product idea that you have, mock up of the product idea that you have, and the prototype, how it will look actually when, you put it on your mobile phone, right? And you can tell the AI models to generate a mock up, and it will give you this kind of an output. Okay. So again, I can't. So, and this is the final stage. Okay. Your idea is there. You've come out with a prototype for that idea. Now you test it with the user and get the user feedback as to what they think about that idea of yours. Okay. One of the best ways is the solution interview, where you ask the user, how much do you like, ये अभी आपको दिखा है ना वो मोबाइल फोन पे वो डू इट टास्क मैनेजर. ओके. ही से नॉट बैड, I would pay 1,000 rupees for it. Okay. So this is when you know कि अच्छा boss, if I launch this mobile do it task manager, चलेगा. मतलब एक तो कस्टमर है और वो जो 1,000 रुपया देने को तैयार है. ऐसे मतलब then you have a real customer. Okay. Then you can start building your product, and this is what, in the lean startup they call the minimum viable product. Okay. So A/B testing is another, important way of testing whether your new solution is good. So here is a new solution. Here is the old website. Okay. The new website gives you 12% uplift. So you have to measure, and you can use Google Analytics, and another lot of AI models are available now, and generative AI also can help you in measuring or doing or simulating these kind of A/B tests. Okay. So generative AI तो बहुत ही important. This is another very important concept in the innovation process. Okay, is the lean canvas. The lean canvas emphasizes in validating that the problem that you're trying to solve has a solution which the customer values. Okay, so this is the lean startup model canvas, where you start with the customer. One, what the problems the customer has, top three only. Then create a single value proposition by, using the define process. Okay. And then provide the solution through ideating and prototyping. Okay. And these are, of course, the later steps. I mean, when you're trying to build an idea, How will I sell it? Will I make it an online model, or will I go to the shop? It's a part to the customer. Why? And what is the cost estimated? Develop करने के लिए कितना बनेगा? How much will the customer pay? 1,000 rupees? Okay, 1,000 rupees. How many customers can I have? Like that. Okay. So these are the step five, and finally tests. कितने web hits होंगे? What will be the conversion out of 100 walk-ins? I mean, will 5 buy, 10 buy? Am I, etc. Okay, so this is the lean canvas. Now, if I was an educational institute, I will, use this. There is need to rethink. Okay, and these are the various problems that we have. I will take another 10 minutes. I hope everyone can hear me still, all alert. 10-15 minutes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, fine. So, higher education, and this is especially, I think, addressable to faculty and not so much to students. But we have some issues, and we need to rethink our professional education system. There are many problems. Okay. And really wicked problems can be solved with design thinking. So let's, look at all these are NEP, and they are very different from the way education is conducted. No rigid, I mean, separation between abhi to arts vegla, science vegla, mechanical engineering is different, civil engineering is different. Here, so they are saying arts का बंदा engineering भी कर सकता है, that way, and he can collect academic bank of credits. थोड़ा arts में किया, थोड़ा, so it's a totally different paradigm, holistic, multidisciplinary, setting up a national research foundation, क्योंकि आजकल research is very poor in our academic institution. Okay, so expansion of open and distance learning to increase gross enrollment ratio, so that even working men and women, I mean, who have just, who have young children, can learn from home, for example. Okay, and National Education Technology Forum, etc., etc. So use of technology at all levels, and so on, and common entrance exams like, JEE type exams for all disciplines. Okay. Okay. So first step in design thinking, empathy, and empathy with all stakeholders. So here is the student, and what are the student's needs? They are here. So it's important to document them. Second stakeholder is, the regulator, AICT, etc. What do they need? This is their need. The employer, what do the employers want? They want people who can think critically, creatively, are adaptable, and also have the entrepreneurial mindset. In fact, today only I was reading that even in corporates are willing to be venture capitalists to startups whose ideas they can incorporate in their business in future. Okay. So even big companies are willing to fund startup. Wipro is doing it, and all the companies are doing this. Okay. And finally, the alumni of SVERI, okay, they also have certain needs which the college should be addressing. Okay. And these are their needs. Okay. So now, next step, define the problem from the student's point of view, the employer's point of view, the alumni point of view, the regulator's point of view. ओके, तो ये पढ़ सकते हो तो पढ़ लो 2 मिनट में, बट दिस इज द प्रोसेस. देन आइडिएट आइडिएट आइडिएट. तो lots of different ideas are now coming up, and as I said, you can use generative models. They will generate hundreds of ideas. I mean, I guarantee that much. Okay. So these are, the ideas that have come up. So we put them up in, the impact versus the effort. Okay. तो ये वाव है, ये जल्दी कर सकता है, etc. This is just as an example. Okay. And prototyping. Now for prototyping, you should use students to create student projects from the ideas that are generated. Okay. So if you involve students in the idea generation, you will find that students also will now say, "Ha, sir, can I take up this idea? Can I take up, this life skills curriculum idea? Or can I take up the implementation of ERP for the college? Or can we develop an alumni network platform?" Okay. And so on, or online, examination platform or proctoring, okay, etc., etc. Right? So when a lot of ideas are generated, students can be involved. Otherwise, most of the time, students are saying, "Sir, what can I do? What project should I take up?" etc., etc. Okay. Here are real life projects, and the beauty of taking up a real life project is that you can really do something. नहीं तो सिर्फ हवा में, मतलब कैसे करूं, क्या करूं, a lot of time gets wasted. That's why you should apply design thinking. So you create student projects from the ideas generated, and the rest is, I mean, quite straightforward. But as I repeatedly say, for every step of the project, go through those 5 design thinking steps, use the lean canvas, okay, and innovate systematically and improve and do continuously iterative development. Okay. And at every iteration, कि क्या करना है और where the improvement is happening. That's why it's very important for students and faculty to be familiar with the design thinking process. And like I said, this is now an organization wide. It's not only one student's ka problem abhi doesn't know kahan. Abhi everyone is involved. So it's an organization wide thing where everyone is helping each other, and so 1 plus 1 is 111 type, effect. Okay, so that's what it is all about. And this is my last but most important slide. Use generative AI to accelerate design thinking. Abhi, I don't know how much of it you'll understand immediately, but I have tried this myself, and I know that it can accelerate your, project efficiency at least 10 times. Okay. First, for empathy and user, you do what is known as sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis is what do your users feel? Are they angry? Are they happy? Etc. Etc. So that net promoter score of 6.2 out of 10 shows a not so satisfied customer. Okay, disinterested customer. Okay, so that is through a sentiment analysis. What are the top three problems? I mean, see, most companies now use WhatsApp chat and customer emails, and your call is being recorded for analysis, etc., etc. Right? All these, when you feed to the generative AI model and tell the model what are the top three problems that customers are facing, they'll say, अरे यहाँ वो यूजर साइन अप में प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, साइन अप टेक्स more than 5-6 clicks to etc. Okay, and persona development. Okay, so this is number one. Ideation. As I said, prompt with how might we statements that we just generated, and you'll get a large number of solutions and very good solutions. Okay, to chat GPT. Rapid prototyping. You can ask a generative AI model to give you a mock-up. Okay, for example, I can tell ChatGPT, please generate a website and give me the React code, because I want to now set up a site to promote placements and internships of our students. And believe me, I did this and I did get a code plus a site design. Okay. So that's rapid prototyping. Testing and user feedback. So once I have the prototype, I can show it. I can show it to customers. I can show it to the principal. I can show it to my faculty. Okay. And get the feedback from multiple users. I can also simulate A/B tests. So I want to come out with a placement website. Give me two websites, okay, and tell me which website will give me higher uplift. I can simulate this. And of course, AI is has always been, data driven insights. Google Analytics, वगैरह वगैरह सब क्या है? Okay. Conduct market research, forecast different design choices, simulate different user behaviors, and evaluate potential outcomes. Okay. So this is, and of course, generative, generate content. You can generate marketing content, generate a blog, generate videos. Nowadays, you can generate videos also, right? Generate tech documentation, generate lean canvas. I have this product idea. Please generate a lean canvas for it. So you can all generate almost anything. Okay. So with generative AI, you can always, whenever you get stuck, okay, use generative AI to come out with something to take you to the next level. Okay. So that way you can accelerate this whole design thinking process. Okay. With that, I complete my presentation. I will stop sharing. Okay. And I had 1 hour. I think I finished in 1 hour. I hope you did not get bored. All those who got bored, raise your hands. All those, all those who found it interesting, raise your hands. Can they hear me? Nobody's raising any hands, nothing.
We will have some.
Huh? Pardon?
Hello, sir.
All those who found the presentation interesting, raise your hands. I think only two or three, etc. Anyway, but you could hear me. Okay? I have finished my presentation. Okay?
Sir,
Uh,
can we have some couple of questions?
yeah, please. Yeah, no problems at all.
Yes, yes. Question.
चैट में है क्या कोई क्वेश्चन? नो, चैट तो नहीं हो सकता है ना, दे आर नॉट ऑल ऑनलाइन. ओके, या, सो एनी क्वेश्चंस?
Please stand up and tell us.
I can't hear, or then she's not asked the question. Hello? Yeah.
Hello, sir. So my question is design thinking mindset. Sir, so my question is how to develop design thinking mindset.
Can someone repeat the question? Sagar sir, what are the questions? Can you repeat?
So how to develop design thinking mindset.
हाँ वही ना, आई मीन वो जो बताया आपको. ओके, वही तो है. मतलब द माइंडसेट इज हैव क्रिएटिव कॉन्फिडेंस, एम्ब्रेस एम्बिग्विटी. मतलब ये जो है, हाउ यू थिंक, you थोड़ा बहुत रिस्क टेकिंग, always be hands on like a child. I mean, in fact, children are among the best design thinkers. मतलब कुछ आइडिया आता है तो ये हाथ पैर मतलब से कुछ कुछ करते रहते हैं. इनफैक्ट यू नो, तो think like a child, I would say. They are not, they never think कि अरे यार ये जमा नहीं तो कैसा, क्या पब्लिक मुझ पे हंसेगी. Nothing like that. Think like a child, and that's a design thinker's mindset. Yeah. And don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of failure and do something. मतलब कुछ तो करके दिखाओ, ड्राइंग करो या कुछ तो करो, पर करो. ओके, दैट्स द डिजाइन थिंकिंग माइंडसेट. सिर्फ सोचो मत. इज दैट ओके? या, गो अहेड.
My question is that how much is the design?
Feedback. Can someone repeat the question?
Question is that how does this design thinking mindset will help us in our project? Like we have projects in our this semester also and final year also.
या, हाँ तो वही तो मतलब बताया आपको यार. In fact, I strongly suggest that you should use the lean canvas, definitely, and you should step by step use generative AI. And you will see that your project delivery will be at least 10 times more. I guarantee. Matlab, if you have a project idea in mind, okay, I can help, and that's what we do, by the way, in SVERI. Okay, and one of the reasons why we had this presentation today is to use design thinking for your project work. Okay, you have a project idea?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes,
You have a project idea
I have a project idea related to drone project. We are developing an test bed for drone testing and pilot.
for drone. It's a drone project. Okay, yeah.
We
So
have
you want
developed
to, so you want to build a drone or design a drone.
a test bed for a drone.
Pardon?
Test bed for a drone for the purpose of developing drones and training of pilots.
I can't hear you. Anyway, I mean, put that project of yours. Try and you put your project in the lean canvas format first. Try and put your project in the lean canvas project in the lean canvas format. So you're designing something drone. Okay, who's the customer for this?
Hello.
Huh? Who's the customer?
Test bed for the drone.
फीडबैक बहुत आ रहा है यार.
Have developed an instrument for the drone testing. So we are focusing on the colleges and drone labs for the testing purpose of drone. So our hardware will help for the testing, like simulations of the drone in the control environment. So our customers will be like the research lab, the faculty who provide workshops on drone, and the training purpose of the pilots.
आई डेंट हियर, आई डेंट अंडरस्टैंड. मतलब मुझे सुनाई नहीं दे रहा यार आपका क्वेश्चन. या 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 आस्क.
Hello, sir.
या योर नेम.
So we have developed an test bench for the testing of drones. Our
बेंच.
customers will be the
ओके.
research lab and the faculties who takes workshops on drones and the students for the testing of drones. When we develop a drone, there is need to test the and calibrate the drone. So our
या
purpose is to
या
develop the test bench and provide the training for the new users.
यस. सो दैट्स अ क्लियर. ओके. सो I mean, the test bench, for example, drone battery kitna hai, what is the power left, how much time the drone can
Yes, yes.
continue to fly,
The
and so on and
time,
so on.
the speed of the rotors and
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, yeah, so do a lean canvas for this. Start with a lean canvas. By the way, very recently, I attended some workshop organized by a company called Flight Base, FLYTBASE. They do exactly this kind of work. Okay, and they have software. It's a software platform which remotely monitors drones performance also. So companies that build drones implement, a client device that sits in the drone that communicates with the platform of this company, and continuously gives feedback about the drones, various parameters. Okay, कि उसका बैटरी कितना है, what is its current power consumption, how long will it be able to fly, and so on and so forth. So yes, they have customers who are drone makers, and they're all over the world. So you can look at FLYT flight base, and that will give you some idea about how you can fill up your lean canvas. And the other thing is, okay, so the first step is fill up a lean canvas. Who are the customers? So drone makers, right? Your customers will be all the drone manufacturers, right?
Yes. Yes.
So you can find out a list of drone manufacturers from anywhere in the world, okay, from the internet, okay. Then, but just listing them down will not help. You have to contact some of them, and this is where you know the real challenge is. You have to have the guts to call these companies and tell them कि हम ऐसा टेस्ट बेंच कर रहे हैं, ओके, ये टेस्ट प्लेटफॉर्म है, एंड व्हाट डू यू थिंक, व्हाट आर द थ्री टॉप मोस्ट प्रॉब्लम्स दैट यू वांट सॉल्व, ओके. दे विल टेल यू कि हाँ हमारा प्रॉब्लम ये ऐसा है, हमारा प्रॉब्लम वो वैसा है. देन यू विल प्रोटोटाइप, यू विल बिल्ड समथिंग एंड शो देम, ओके. तो ये ऐसा है, ऐसा होता है इफ यू रियली, सो यू हैव एन इंटरेस्टिंग प्रोजेक्ट, ओके, पर इसका कुछ चीज करना होगा, तो यू विल हैव टू डू ऑल दिस. एंड बिलीव मी, if you do all this, you can actually build a good startup, because I know Flightbase is doing superly well, okay, and it's a startup still, okay. It's about 5 years old, and is doing fantastic work. But it's a big market, and you can, I mean, it'll be you might become super rich also. पर मतलब अभी देखिए ऐसा है, सी दिस इज डिजाइन थिंकिंग, यू मस्ट हैव द क्रिएटिव कॉन्फिडेंस, द माइंडसेट हैज टू बी देयर. अच्छा बॉस, हम तो जीतने वाले हैं, ओके, पर इसको मेहनत लगने वाली है. यू हैव टू हैव द डिजाइन थिंकर माइंडसेट, ओके. यू शुड नॉट बी अफ्रेड ऑफ फेलिंग, ओके. बट इट्स अ गुड आइडिया. एंड योर नेम?
गणेश सुरवसे.
गणेश.
गणेश
गणेश सुरवसे.
DY.
गणेश सुरवसे.
हाँ.
Okay. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
That was a good question, by the way.
Uh, yes, sir. Thank you for your valuable time, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll sign off. Okay.
Yes.
I'll call you after this to just get some feedback from you. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay, sir.
Okay. Chalo. Bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you, sir.